Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Canal Algérie's News in English and in today's top stories. The Global Coalition for Quds and Palestine honors the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, as a recognition of the efforts of Algeria in Palestinian reunification and advocacy for the cause at the Arab and international levels. The fight against corruption in Algeria is in full force. The bill on fighting and combating money laundering and financing terrorism is presented in front of the MPs for enrichment and discussion and is within the reforms of the justice sector for the year 2022. Exclusive confessions of the terrorist Al-Jilali Arqoub, also known as An-Nawas, who surrendered to the security services of the National People's Army, which includes facts about the methods of kidnapping and extortion by terrorist groups. Updates on Maroc Gate, one of the many scandals of Al Makhzen regime, where new revelations from the Belgian prosecutor's office directly link MEPs to the Makhzen. Good evening, those with today's headlines. First in our news, the Global Coalition for Quds and Palestine honored the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, during his 13th conference held in Istanbul, Turkey, in recognition of Algeria's role in Palestinian reunification and its continuous efforts in supporting Palestine and mobilizing Arab support and advocacy for this cause at the Arab and international levels. The honorary shield was received by the Dean of the Algiers Mosque, Mohammed Ma'moun Al-Qasimi Al-Hassani, in the presence of the Consul General of Algeria in Istanbul. Let's have a listen.
وادي بيت المقدس المجتمعون من شتى أرجاء الأرض أن يرفعوا مقام الشكر والتقدير إلى ذوي المقامات الرفيعة.
Those gathered here from all over the world should convey their gratitude and appreciation to those of high standing, leading roles and distinguished presence. The People's Democratic Republic of Algeria confidently advanced to its rightful place, not only because of its history, the milestones in the history of the Palestinian cause, rather for its permanent presence in critical stages it experienced, recently strengthened with this care shown by the Algerian leadership, with President Abdelmajid Tebboune at its head, may God protect him, who led us through a reconciliation journey in which he made sure to achieve Palestinian reunion in the face of occupation and supporting the Palestinian people's resilience and their historic resistance.
وذلك في مواجهة الاحتلال ودعم صمود الشعب الفلسطيني ومقاومته الباسلة.
The Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman chaired a cabinet meeting on Wednesday during which the following points were discussed. In the field of justice, the government has studied a preliminary bill on the prevention and control of human trafficking submitted by the Minister of Justice, Keeper of the Seals, which falls within the framework of adopting national legislation to relevant international mechanisms, in particular the protocol supplementing the United Nations Convention against Transnational Organized Crime. In the field of finance, the government has studied a preliminary bill on cash and loans submitted by the Minister of Finance. In the field of public works, the government has studied the draft executive decree authorizing the public utility of the process related to the preparation of road entrances to the city of El Bourainan in Blida, presented by the Minister of Public Works, Hydraulics and Basic Infrastructures. In the field of health, the Minister of Health presented a draft executive decree specifying the modalities for the payment of treatment services by foreign persons in public institutions and health sectors. Concerning drinking water supply at the level of new neighborhoods, the Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Urban Development and the Minister of Housing, Urban Planning and the City, in addition to the Minister of Public Works, Hydraulics and Basic Infrastructures, made a joint presentation on the problem of drinking water supply at the level of new neighborhoods of the ADL agency and the National Corporation for Real Estate Promotion. To the parliamentary activity, we're in a plenary session devoted to completing the discussion on the bill of the prevention and combating of money laundering and terrorist financing. Minister of Justice, Keeper of the Seals, Abdulrashid Tibbi, responded to the questions of the deputies and stressed that the money laundering law is clear and has illustrative mechanisms. Considering that the law that was presented on Wednesday came to protect real investors from corruption, the minister also stressed that there has been international cooperation in recent months achieved thanks to Algeria's efforts to stop the smuggling of money. Let's listen to the Minister of Justice. The declared war on corruption in Algeria continued in 2022. It is the end of impunity for the squanderers of public funds thanks to the many measures taken to strengthen control and redress management of public administrations. An approach reiterated on many occasions by the President of the Republic and the commitment to combat this scourge in all its forms. Rania Al-Bahri reports.
In 2022, Algeria continued to implement its comprehensive plan to fight corruption, relying on the moralization of public life and the consecration of transparency and probity in the management of public funds. Among the achievements, it's worth recalling the promotion of the National Anti-Corruption Body to a higher authority for transparency, prevention and fight against corruption in favor of the 2020 constitutional revision. In addition, the National Strategy for Transparency, Prevention and Fight Against Corruption will be implemented from the beginning of next year. 2022 also saw the activation of the General Inspectorate of State Services and Local Authorities, placed under the authority of the President of the Republic. It will control, through field investigations, the application of government decisions and the Republic's law. The law on the fight against corruption is also the subject of successive amendments, especially since President Tebboune stressed the need to enrich it through the definition of more flexible mechanisms in terms of recovery of state assets and the relaxation of bureaucratic procedures so as to allow the recovery of all embezzled funds. There are also plans to create a national agency for the management of frozen, seized and confiscated assets. To this effect, the issue of the recovery of embezzled funds has been largely dealt with through the execution of final judgments, which was made by the judiciary on the seizure of numerous assets and funds within the country. This approach was favorably received internationally. In this context, a commission of experts responsible for managing the file for recovering these funds, in coordination with the Algerian diplomatic representations, has been set up. It was also decided to integrate in the commercial public sector all the goods belonging to the economic groups involved in the corruption cases, with the aim of preserving the national tool of production and safeguarding employment and workers' rights. As part of the organization of the High Transparency Authority for the Prevention and Fight Against Corruption, President Tebboune ordered the creation of a new body responsible for monitoring and investigating cases of illicit enrichment and the signs of wealth among public servants, politicians, or managers of public companies. The judicial field, the public trials of individuals involved in the corruption cases are continued, as evidenced by the intense activity recorded at the level of the Economic and Financial Penal Pole and the Algiers Court of Justice.
On to the confessions of the terrorist Arqoub al-Jilali, also known as An-Nawas, who surrounded the security services of the National People's Army. Let's have a listen.
The concept of kidnapping came from the east, and the first kidnapping took place in Shlif province. They kidnapped and stole 2 billions from a man who then died in Boughouroun. Madani Leslous was appointed as Abdelkader Souel's deputy. The army will close in on and surround certain areas quickly as soon as they hear of terrorists being there, which really affected them. Madani Leslous's appeal affected us the most. When he made it, some of them did not accept it. However, I did because of the dire situation we reached. The others left for a long time. My foot got better and I was able to leave.
خلاص كي راحوا من عندي مهم طولوا عليا انا كي طولوا عليا خلاص رجلي يعني تحسنت شويه ثم قررت باش نهبط.
The 30th edition of the Algerian Production Fair is still going. The National Company of Industrial Vehicles exhibited their multi-function vehicles, which continues to attract many visitors at the fair. Saban Tafilginit reports.
Algerian Production Fair, the stand of the Algerian Company of Vehicles Manufacturing, of Mercedes-Benz and Tiaret, of MND, drew the attention of the visitors. In fact, this stand is one of the most crowded ones in the fair's 30th edition. The vehicles are outstanding. It is such an honor for us and for our country. Each year, Tiaret's factory impresses us. I really like their products. We have received a lot of accusation requests concerning our vehicles we are exhibiting, coming from several enterprises and particulars. In fact, this exhibition was the perfect opportunity for the Development Institution of Automotive Industry in Tiaret of the Military Industries Directorate to exhibit and present their different products, such as tanks, trailers, utility transport vehicles. The goal is to increase integration rate.
The Automotive Industry Institution in Tiaret of the Military Industries Directorate has 2 subsidiaries. The Algerian Manufacturing Company of four-wheel drive vehicles, such as G category, and utility vehicles, like Splinter vehicle. Concerning Ariba's subsidiary, heavy vehicles and public transport buses are produced there.
This exhibition reflected perfectly the determination of MND coming under this ministry's strategy aiming to cover local market needs by producing different types of vehicles aligning with the military industry objectives.
In cooperation, the Minister of Environment and Renewable Energy, Samia Mouelfi, held talks with the Parliamentary State Secretary for Economic Affairs and Climate Action of the Government of Germany, Franziska Brunter. The talks revolved around the means and ways to develop cooperation between both countries and the adoption of the post-2020 biological diversification, Algeria's experience and its efforts, and the concretization of projects of rehabilitation of Wad al-Harash and Wad Samar landfill were displayed. Within dynamics of the sustained efforts in the fight against terrorism and multifaceted organized crime, units and detachments of the National People's Army have executed during the period from the 14th to the 20th of 2022 several operations that have resulted in quality results that reflect the high professionalism, vigilance, and permanent availability of our armed forces throughout the national territory. As part of the fight against terrorism, detachments of the National People's Army killed during an ambush carried out at the southern border strip in Gazam operational sector 2 terrorists and captured 2 others, 3 12.7mm heavy machine guns, 1 machine gun type FMPK, 7 Kalashnikov submachine guns, as well as 1 RPG-7 rocket launcher, 1 SDV sniper rifle, and 1 unidentified type machine gun were also recovered during this operation. Similarly, other detachments of the National People's Army, in coordination with the competent security services, captured during an operation conducted in Timiawin in the operational sector Borj Mukhtar, were able to capture 3 terrorists active in the Sahel region and arrest 3 support elements to terrorist groups. The quality operations were detailed in press releases previously made public. In the same context, combined detachments of the National People's Army apprehended 8 elements supporting terrorist groups during a separate separate operations across the national territory, while one homemade bomb was discovered and destroyed during a search operation conducted in Skikda. As part of the fight against organized crime and in continuity of the sustained efforts to counter the scourge of drug trafficking in our country, combined detachments of the National People's Army have arrested, in coordination with the various security services during operations carried out throughout the military regions, 43 drug traffickers and thwarted attempts to introduce immense quantities of drugs from the borders with Morocco, amounting to 8 quintals and 35 kilograms of processed keef, while 214,237 psychotropic tablets and 1,048 kilograms of cocaine were seized. In Tamanrast, Borj Baji Mukhtar, Ingizam, and Janet, detachments of the National People's Army intercepted 76 individuals and seized 39 vehicles, 139 generators, 50 jackhammers, 95.5 tons of mixture of raw gold and stones, as well as detonation tools and equipment used in illegal gold panning operations, while 21 other individuals were arrested, and 4 hunting rifles, 3,500 cartridges, quantities of foodstuffs for smuggling and speculation amounting to 121 tons, as well as 56,774 packets of tobacco and 14,962 units of various beverages were seized in separate operations throughout the national territory. Similarly, the border guards, in coordination with the services of the National Gendarmerie, thwarted attempts to smuggle large quantities of fuel amounting to 29,975 liters in Tamanrast, Borj Baji Mukhtar, Tbissa, Suqahras, and Del Tarif. Additionally, the Coast Guard thwarted on our national coast attempts at illegal immigration and rescued 64 individuals abroad, homemade boats, while 219 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were arrested throughout the national territory. New revelations from the Belgian prosecutor's office directly linking MEPs to the Makhzen that aims to buy their silence concerning the Sahrawi issue. The former Moroccan army officer Mustafa Adib spoke out in an article he published on Tuesday. Manal Amari has more.
Corruption scandals continue to hit the Makhzen, with a series of revelations implicating 15 MEPs bribed by the Moroccan regime to buy their silence regarding the human rights situation in Morocco and the issue of Western Sahara. New revelations came to condemn the Moroccan regime in what is now known as Maroc Gate, in which several European parliamentarians accused of complying with the Makhzen in return for money were arrested. The former Italian MEP Pier Antonio Panzeri declared before the magistrates to the Federal Prosecutor's Office in Brussels that an agreement was reached planning for working to avoid resolutions against some countries in exchange for 50,000 euros. This agreement was sent to Morocco and maintained over time, namely through the current Moroccan ambassador to Warsaw, Atmoun Abdelrahim. According to investigators, the latter was a link between the Moroccan Secret Service and the corrupt in the European Parliament on Rabat's payroll. For its part, the daily Italian newspaper El Fatto Quotidiano revealed that a plan on the European Parliament, entitled Action Plan for the European Parliament, was set up in 2013 by the Makhzen regime, aiming to promote Morocco's interests within the institution. Another approach was made by the intermediary of the European deputy, the French Jean Rouata, recently appointed vice president of the subcommittee on human rights at the European Parliament. This document is a confidential communication of Morocco's mission to the European Union, explaining the tools of parliamentary and traditional diplomacy regarding the member states of this institution to protect its interests. The Makhzen's plan foresees the formation of a Moroccan-European parliamentary coalition that would function as a pressure network of MEPs, MPs, and Moroccan advisors. According to the investigators of the Federal Prosecutor's Office in Brussels, Rabat's meddling goes further. The Makhzen is accused of blackmailing and pressuring for the nomination of members of the Committee of the European Chamber, who dealt with delicate files concerning Morocco, such as the one created to investigate the use of the Zionist spyware Pegasus, a case in which Rabat is involved. Within the same context, the former Moroccan army officer Mustafa Adib believes that the Makhzen regime's use of money earned from cannabis trade to bribe MEPs aims to gain the old continent's support in its illegal occupation of Western Sahara. The investigation initiated by the Belgian justice system on the Makhzen's involvement in corruption within the European Parliament will deliver other secrets within the next few days.
Dozens of settlers stormed Al-Aqsa Mosque under the protection of the Zionist soldiers. The Department of Waqfs has declared that some of the attackers practiced Jewish rituals. The frequency of incursions in the mosque rise generally during the Jewish holidays, while being authorized by the Zionist occupation as a total provocation. Back to the country, we're on the last day of the International Fair of Textile, Apparel, Leather and Equipment. We focused on the Algerian-Turkish economic cooperation. Our own Sabrin Taferginit talked to some executives and operators and came back with the following.
5 countries participating in this International Fair of Textile, Apparel, Leather and Equipment. The Algerian-Turkish relations were perfectly reflected through the stands. These embody the strong economic cooperation between the two countries.
Turkish participation is very satisfied for this participation because there are many visitors, professional visitors that make many contracts with this company. Turkey, it's very important in Algeria because there are many machines that they have the new technology.
All subsidiaries and major businesses in the textile sector and leather gather at Textile Expo, from the raw material to ready-made clothes, garments, shoes, linen house and equipment. B2B meetings are organized for the professional exchanges between visitors and exhibitors from different countries. This event is arranged as a part of the development and revival of the sector in Algeria, a sector with a promising future.
To increase and upgrade these ties and cooperation agreement, facilitations and encouragements were deployed, aligning with the new investment law, a way to facilitate the exchange and the import-export process.
Decorrico is a Turkish-Algerian company. We have here a place to do, like we have a fabricant here, and our patron is a Turkish person. Our Turkish Mr. Izzettin Akçay thinks that Algeria is an open destination for investment. Yeah, this event is a successful fair actually. This is a good marketing for us as a company. We had a lot of B2B here because of this textile and it was really great. We are really grateful.
Okay, we are coming for the textile fair first time, but fair is very nice. Algerian visitors too much interest our companies. Everybody satisfied. We have 10 Turkish companies. Their products women ready to wear, child underwear.
The third and last day of this fair and its 5th edition was marked by the vivid presence of visitors who are witnessing the process of improving the textile field in Algeria, a crucial step in order to achieve an adequate economic growth.
Let's talk now about Saharan tourism, which is in high season. Janet welcomes many visitors for a quick stopover or long stay. The marvelous Tassili Najar remains a must visit to the tourists, reported by Naim Al-Walish, commentary by Rania Al-Bahri.
We are in the high season of Saharan tourism. Janet, one of the most beautiful places in the Algerian Sahara, is full of beautiful landscape to discover, such as the marvelous Tassili Najar. We come to discover the south of Algeria with our motorcycle. We stayed here for a month and we enjoyed it. It went well and we discovered magnificent places.
On est algérien, on vient de Paris et c'est la première fois pour nous qu'on fait le désert algérien.
We are Algerian. We come from Paris. This is the first time for us to visit Algerian desert. We did a 5-day circuit in the desert. It was exceptional. We are hikers based on several provinces, mostly Blida and Tipaza. We have a group of hikers. We usually organize outings on Friday, and we had the opportunity to come here to Janet to do a hike and trail and to visit the city of Sifar. Staying in the same atmosphere of the Great South, all the hotels, without exception, like the Arnet, Zriba, Tinirit, have a big tent that reminds us of nomads. I came from Warsaw, Poland. This is our first time here in Algeria. It was a wonderful adventure. Very popular destination for its unique landscapes, Janet recently re-established the connection with the French capital for a flight once a week, to the delight of all fans of the Deep South.
And with that, our news edition comes to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.